That was pretty expected.
Yes, it was pretty expected, especially because they already struck their settlement agreement back in July. And also last week, we reported that Goldman has already made the huge $2.5 billion cash payment to Malaysia as well. So it was part of that process.
So expected here, but what is next, I suppose?
One of the interesting things as well is the case against the Goldman 17 current and former directors. We recently actually heard from people we spoke to that the Malaysian prosecutors are also going to cease pursuing its case against the directors. That was also one of the biggest sticking points in the settlement agreement, so that's also likely to be resolved. I think next for Goldman, we also know that they are in separate discussions with the U.S. Justice Department for a separate settlement. So I think all eyes are going to move there.
This has been a very complicated web of funds that's crossed around the world. But the man at the center of it all, Joe Low, is still at large.
Right. So Joe Low remains at large. Malaysia's police have been saying every time that they are trying very hard to find him. They have several times they have said that they know where he is. Like they've named several jurisdictions, especially they said that the jurisdiction that they believe he's in is one that has an extradition treaty with Malaysia. But as it stands, they haven't been successful in finding him or even in trying to make him face the charges related to 1MDB.
And Yudith, amid all the developments, I mean, this is considered a win for Muhyiddin Yassin, who came to power with a wafer-thin majority.
Yes. What's interesting is, despite Muhyiddin is supported by a party that was in power when this 1MDB scandal happened. So at first, there was a lot of concern that there's going to be a step back in the 1MDB investigations, but in fact, what we've seen is he's managed to push forward with the settlement agreement, and that shows in his approval rating, which is actually more driven by people being satisfied with how he handled the virus. His approval rating has been maintained at around 70%. That's quite interesting because that's almost twice what we saw in the last few months for the previous prime minister like Najib or even like Mahathir.